Hello all. In the last session, we created the first screen of our student platform, a dashboard that shows courses, skills, and the internships in one place. Right now, everything on that screen is fixed. The text, numbers, and student names are fixed. But in real application, this screen will not stay fixed. Every student will see different data. Their courses and progress will be different. This brings us to a question. How do we write a screen in a way that it can change later? Do we just write normal HTML like before? But HTML alone can't handle that logic. It can only describe the structure. Or do we need something that combines the design and logic together? That something is what React calls JSX. And today we'll understand JSX by building our student dashboard UI using that. JSX is not a new markup language. JSX is JavaScript syntax that allows us to write the UI inside JS. But what exactly is JSX? JSX is not HTML. It only looks like HTML. Every JSX element you write is internally converted into normal JavaScript function calls. So for example, let me just open a new file over here. So example, when I write h1 and let me write hello, I will close this h1 tag. Yeah. So when I write this, what React does internally is it will convert it into something like React dot create element. The first parameter will be the h1, which is the type of HTML element that I'm adding here. The second one will be null since it doesn't have any ID. And the third parameter will be the text inside it. So that is hello over here. So this is how React processes the h1 tag internally. So two important things become clear here. The browser never sees JSX. The browser only receives final JavaScript generated HTML. JSX is only a developer friendly syntax that makes UI easier to write. Let's look into key practical differences between HTML and JSX. Firstly, JSX must have one parent element. So if we write something like h1, let's say title, and I will write a description over here. Now this is valid in HTML, but in JSX, this is invalid since over here we don't have a parent element. So now to make this valid in JSX, what we have to do is we have to wrap it in one parent container. So let's say this div, if I do this, then this is a valid JSX format because the div is the parent element, and inside that we have our other HTML elements like h1 and p tag. Or the other way is using fragments. So in React, what we can do is instead of this div, we can directly do this. So this is valid in JSX. So these are known as React fragments. So every React component must return one parent container. Secondly, class in HTML will become class name. Since in HTML, we could do something like, let's say class is equal to, let's say card. This was valid in HTML. But same in JSX, when we write, we have to do it like div class name is equal to card. We have to do this in JSX because class is a reserved keyword in JavaScript. JSX follows JavaScript grammar. Thirdly, attributes use camel case. So in HTML, if I had, let's say, my input and I would write my on click like this, uh, handle click. Yeah. So this is how we do it in JSX. Fourth, JavaScript expressions use the curly braces. This is the most powerful feature of JSX. So let's say I have I have defined the name of a student. Let's say name is equal to Amit. And now I want to display it. So I will do h1 tag over here and I will do the curly braces. I will say name and let me also say welcome. Yeah. So this I can do in JSX. So this will reference this particular constant that is defined over here. So the curly braces tells React evaluate JavaScript here. JSX can mix UI plus logic in one place. This is why JSX is used. It allows dynamic UI generation. Now let's continue building our student learning dashboard. The student should see their courses, skills, internships, and progress. An important thing to remember here is now we are not connecting real backend data. We are only building the static UI structure using JSX. The static structure will become dynamic later. Let's look into the basic React component structure. Every screen in React is a component. A component is simply a JavaScript function that returns JSX. So let's say, let me define some components over here. Uh, Let me define the component folder. Inside this, let me say I have my dashboard component. So that is dashboard.tsx. So here, what I can do is I can export default function dashboard, which will return let's say h1 and just say student dashboard. Yeah, this dashboard is a React component over here. This will return a JSX and React renders this JSX onto the screen. At this stage, the screen will only show a heading. So if I just import this over here in my app.tsx, so in place of this student dashboard, what I will do is I will just import that student. Mm, I've done it as dashboard. So instead of student, I should say dashboard over here. Yeah. So this is my component that I've created. I've imported it from this particular location, that is the components folder and this dashboard.tsx, and I've just used it over here. So now if I can see in my web page, uh, it will show me the student dashboard. So that is coming from here. So if I change it over here, so in place of dashboard, let's say uh, student learning. If I add learning over here, I will save this. And as you can see, it has changed. It has same student learning dashboard. So yeah, this is coming from here, this component. But now currently it is just showing a heading. Now let's add the student overview section. To get this, we expand the UI by adding more JSX. So let's say, uh, yeah, let's say welcome student. Let me add another component over here saying student overview dot JSX. Or I can show it in this only. That is not an issue. Yeah, this dashboard is done. Let me add a div over here. Let's say h2. Welcome student. Your learning overview is shown below. Shown below. And this, yeah. Now, if I check my web page, yeah, it will show me welcome student and your learning overview is shown below. And this is the overview over here. So this shows a greeting and a short description. This is not HTML, but JSX that React will later convert into real HTML. Now let's add the enrolled courses section. So let's add the enrolled courses as well. Mm, let's add it over here. Let's add a div. Let's say enrolled courses. I will define the UL and I will have my li tags. Let me have maybe three. The first one, let's say full stack development. Okay. Second one, let me say I'm learning data structures. The third one, let me say I'm learning introduction to AI. Yeah. So this is it. Let me see my web page. And yes, as you can see, the enrolled courses, and it shows me all my enrolled courses over here. So here we observe three key JSX concepts. That is JSX nesting UL inside the div. So as you can see, this UL tag is nested inside this particular div over here. Then we saw JSX list, that is the li tag over here. And we saw structured UI blocks. So that is the divs over here and also the main React fragment over here. This models what the student is currently learning. Let's also see how to manipulate the skill progress section. So let's say I have another section over here. Let's say this is the skill progress section. So that is skill progress. And let's say I have normal p tags over here. I will have three tags. Let's say in React, I have 40% of progress. Let's say in node.js, I have around 30% progress. And let's say DSA, I have around 60% of progress. Yeah. And if I check my web page, yeah, as you can see, the skill progress and React is 40, Node is 30, and DSA is 60. But these numbers are static for now. Later, these values will come from APIs or from databases and real student performance. Right now, we are only defining the visual structure. Now let's move to the internship status section. Let's add the internship status section over here. So this will be our internship status section. Let me add the H3 tag saying internship applications. Let me also say the UL. Let me add li tag. Let me add two. Yeah, I'll say front end intern is under review, and backend intern I am shortlisted. Yeah, and if I check my web page, as I can see, this internship applications and front end intern is under review, backend intern is shortlisted. This section later connects with company databases and application tracking systems. Right now, it is part of the static JSX layout. Now let's finally combine the dashboard component. Now we merge all sections into one React component. So that is in my dashboard. Let me do this. Let me add a div with style equal to inline style. I'll add a padding of, let's say, 20 px, 20 px. And also let's define the font family, which will be Arial over here. Yeah, let's close this div. Let's add this h1 tag over there. Let's, instead of student dashboard, we will say student learning dashboard. Okay. Let's add a div over here. And this will be for the student overview. So let's just take the code from here. So it is this welcome student. Let's move this over there. If yeah, this is our student. Sorry. Overview. Let's add the enrolled courses as well. So let me just copy this. Let me say this as enrolled courses. Enrolled courses. I will take that code from here. It is this enrolled courses, and I will paste it over here. The next section will be for my skill progress. So that is, I will copy this here. I will say my skill progress, skills progress. Yeah, that also I will take from here. This is the skills progress. And let me put it over here. Okay. My next section is the internship applications. So let me just define one for internship sections. Internship applications. And let me also take this and let me move over here. Yeah, this extra one will not be required. Let me delete this. Yeah. And now if I check my web page, yeah, I can see all this code. And my main app.tsx file just has this, the courses enrolled. Let's move this also over there in the dashboard. So let's move this in my dashboard. I will have student overview. I will have another for the courses overview. And let me keep it over here. Yeah, as we can see the web page. Yeah, it shows student learning dashboard and the courses that I'm enrolled in. The statistics over here. It will say welcome student, and all this is currently static. So what React does with this JSX is when this component runs, JSX gets converted into JavaScript. React will build a virtual DOM structure. React compares and updates the real DOM efficiently. The browser will display normal HTML. So although we write JSX, the final result is still plain HTML, which is rendered in the browser. But why do you think this JSX structure is important? This layout becomes the foundation for other concepts like props, state, authentication data, etc. Indeed, good JSX structure early makes scaling easy later. So to make it easy for all, here is a small snapshot on the screen. So today we have learned how to build a real dashboard layout using JSX. But right now, everything on the dashboard is hard-coded. Every section is locked inside one of the components. How do we break this dashboard into independent, reusable parts? That brings us to the next concept of React, which is components. In the next session, we will split this dashboard into reusable cards and sections. Until then, keep coding, keep exploring. Thank you.